Say bye-bye to any programs in this country that are meant to help black people get ahead. Seeing the after effects of rescinding affirmative action in the Supreme Court's decision last year, they voted colleges and universities cannot use race as a determining factor in admission. Today, we're looking at an article from Forbes regarding the Fearless Fund. The Fearless Fund is a venture capital firm that helps women of color get financing. They have a grant called the Fearless Drivers Grant, which is only open to black women. 3 anonymous business owners came forward and said they were discriminated against based on the racial requirements of the grant. So let's just assume they're not black. The article reads, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit has halted the Fearless Fund, black-owned venture capital firm, from granting awards solely to black women entrepreneurs. The court ruled that the practice likely violates Title 42 of the U.S. Code, which ensures equal rights and prohibits racial discrimination in awarding and enforcing contracts. Basically, what the article says is that the Fearless Fund can't use race as a determining factor for who they want to include and who they want to exclude from their grants. A little further down, it reads, Black women startup founders received just 0.33% of total venture capital in the U.S. in 2021. And even further down, Megan Thorpe is quoted as saying, blocking such efforts risks perpetuating the systemic barriers that have long hindered economic opportunities for marginalized communities. As long as there is adequate historical data to support the underrepresented treatment of populations, there should be no issue with supporting initiatives that aim to rebalance and level the playing field. 3 business owners said that they were excluded from the Fearless Fund's Fearless Drivers Grant based on the color of their skin. Technically, this does violate Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, the letter of the law says that you can't include or exclude people based on the color of their skin. We understand that the spirit of the law is to help disenfranchise people. We understand that black people and people of color in general were excluded from opportunities that white people had around this time, before and even after the Civil Rights Movement. We understand that the legislation was put in place to help other people get a leg up. You can't look at somebody's skin and say, hey, we're going to include you or exclude you based on the color of your skin. That's the letter of the law. And in this article, and in this case, the 3 anonymous business owners are saying that because they're not black, they're being excluded from being able to be awarded the grant. And technically they are. The grant says only for black women entrepreneurs. Now, whether we agree with it or disagree with it, whether it's said explicitly or implied, we understand that people do discriminate based on the color of your skin. Wendell Pierce, the guy from Suits, he played Meghan Markle's dad. He was up in New York apartment shopping for his nephew, and he said he had this experience.
We found an apartment in Harlem. I gave them all of my bank statements and employment and all, and then I was denied. And I realized that they used the technicality of saying that I did not have steady, consistent employment. Most actors work in 3-month periods, 3 months here, 3 months there. And because it wasn't a continuum of employment, no matter how much income I showed them, I own properties around the country, I showed them all my bank statements. I even offered to pay a year in advance, the complete rent for a year, and I was denied. And I realized that that was by design, that the application was designed that way to be discriminatory. And that was the anecdote that I shared because I wanted to show the damaging effect of when bigotry is memorialized in law, and when the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal over.
Now, I'm not here to say that his experience was or wasn't based on discrimination, and he wasn't denied based on the color of his skin. That's his experience, that's his perception, and your perception is your reality. What I am here to highlight is that he said they use language. Hey, you haven't had steady, consistent income. They use the language of that to say, hey, we're going to discriminate against you, but we're not going to say it's your race, regardless of if it's your race or not. We know that language is used to build a fence around certain opportunities to let certain people in and keep certain people out. I think that going forward, we're going to start to see more and more programs that were meant to help black people and people of color being dismantled. I think we're going to start to see that the use of language, and specifically race-based language, is going to be the reason why you can't get certain opportunities, because it's explicitly written into law. You can't base something off of somebody's race, whether they do or do not get an opportunity. So if you've explicitly written in there, this is for a certain type of people that look a certain way, you can't do that based on the law. Regardless of if you had good intentions to help someone get a leg up, the law is the law. I think that if you are one of these people trying to give someone an opportunity, you're going to have to use language to distinguish who you want and who you don't want. We see that when it's weaponized against us, or what we assume is being weaponized against us, how it's used, we're going to have to employ those own tactics because the law explicitly states you cannot use race as a determining factor with who you give opportunities to and who you say, hey, this opportunity is not for you. So the same way that we see opportunities that are leveraged against us, and we say, hey, you're being racist. And they say, no, it's right here in the writing. You just don't qualify. We understand that these things do happen. We don't have to pretend that they don't happen, whether it's implicit or explicit. We know that they happen. I think what we're going to see is more and more programs that are dedicated to black people and people of color that have race-based language being dismantled. And what's going to happen is they're going to have to find other language to target their demographic. I don't think that it's a bad thing. I think it's just a different way of doing business. The same way, like in the Wendell Pierce situation, when he felt like the words in the contract were being weaponized against him. You can use words to target who it is that you want as well. No, it can't be based on race because that's the law. That's what the law says. Maybe there's something I'm missing. So if you have any additional thoughts, any additional comments, or just want to give your perspective, tell me down in the comment box. Please like, subscribe, share, all of the YouTube things. But I appreciate you for having this conversation with me. Appreciate you for being here. Until next time, peace.